You've really done it now. Prankster comments are swimming all over the universe. See it for yourself. So, anyways, welcome to the forms of the second half of the game, folks. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Wii U, for the actual, Wii U downloadable software / Nintendo Wii. Sorry, I'm just a little bit more enthusiastic about it with the forms of like saying the introductions stuff all over again, but I digress. So anyways, last time we did manage to able to gather the final two of those normal power stars from now on though, until later on if this game has to offer, but then again, we're not going to explore things too much about this, specifically for this Let's Play in mind, up until when it gets to the point until, I would say we'll save that up until in October, around the same time, as the final true episode of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 9, by the way. So, just want to classify that for the sake of time, but even then, I just want to point things out. So anyways, also during around the same time is the fact that we did manage to beat the likes out of Bowser for the final time in this game, but this time around though as Luigi of all things, and well, it looks like today's video is the fact that we're about to be getting things started. As I said before, we're now on to the second half of the game, because as you can see, we actually transport back into the forms of World 1, because after when you collected 120 of those normal power stars, you grant yourselves this Prankster comment right here, which this time around though, they're all in green. So this means about the fact that we must revisit to those previous stages all over again, but except the fact that we need to find those green stars. Ahoy! Did you see that? Those Prankster comments were green. Yes, exactly. That means there are green stars around now. Those must be the green jewels I keep hearing about. Those green stars are pretty hard to find, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. Take it away, Captain. So naturally, with some of these galaxies, as you can see right there, mind you, we're going to be selecting Mario only for that one particular green star as a demonstration, and then for the majority of the time, I'm going to be switching things over to Luigi, because you guys have not seen Luigi in action for quite some time at this point, so even then I just want to point things out right away, that I was able to show you for that one specific green star is Mario. So even then, basically with these little green stars, do you remember in the first game that how the fact that naturally, mind you, there are only about 3 of them potentially, but in the first game is the fact that one of those green stars you're able to find is that one of them can be found from Battle Rock Galaxy from finding Luigi, and especially noticeable there was one in Boyle Base Galaxy's Secret Power Star. And finally, there was one in Dusty Dome Galaxy's Secret Power Star mission, where you have to, feed Hungry Luma for about 20 star bits in total. So even then, I just want to point things out. This game, however, though, actually has 120 of those green stars. So naturally speaking, we need to find all of them, but until we're able to actually receive something if you manage to find every single one of them. So even then, though, God knows we're able to actually find out what the unlockable we're able to be, but even then though, we're able to investigate that at some point in October, as I said before, because originally that, if you couldn't tell, today's day is the forms of the 1st of September, so this means about the fact that the actual, the time of day and night we're able to start to change a little bit, until some point in October though, it will able to change around slightly, well, specifically when it comes to the point when Halloween is getting close. But either way though, let's just get into the actual main point now with the forms of the green stars hunting, but as you can tell, as I said before, we are obviously going to be using Luigi for the whole entire time. So even then, because of this though, I would recommend you able to use Luigi for this specific green stars because, well, not only they are quite easily quite hard to find sometimes, but also it's very recommendable for him though, especially because in some later green stars might actually consider to be quite tricky and difficult as Mario, but thankfully though, if you actually use Luigi, you know with the actual triple jump skills and abilities that he actually performs, well, basically he can able to do just as that. So even then though, well, it wasn't until when we get to the later stages though, so even then we're able to actually just, oh, wait! Ah, dang it, that was a first bad fail for that green stars hunting right there. Because there was actually that green star that was usually hiding right behind the fence. So even then, no, good thing we got ourselves a checkpoint right there. So even then, no, there's not much else to say. So hopefully get better attempts this time, and there we go. So if you can tell already, is that every time when you're trying to get things started with the Green Stars missions, is the fact that, well, as you can see, we actually got green bars on top the bottom this time. Means that actually represents the green stars we're actually going to be collecting. So, oh wow, we're actually getting above 121 power stars this time? Jeez, a little bit more different than the likes of how it does in the original game this time around. So even then though, but then again, they are naturally going to have to find like 120 of those green stars from now on. So even then though, this is where the actual, like, you know, again, the second half usually comes in this time. So even then though, let us now move on to green star number 3. Yeah, some of the galaxies, as I said before, managed to hold out for about 3 green stars, whilst in some other galaxies may actually contains like 2 green stars. So hopefully this should be fun and interesting at the same time. But even then though, I really don't mind the green star hunting in this game though, compared to the forms of how it does it on, well, usually in the original game though, is the fact that once you beat the game once as Mario for collecting 120 of those normal power stars, you weren't able to get yourselves the second playthrough as Luigi, where you go through the exact same thing all over again. But the biggest differences between Mario's and Luigi's when it comes to missions and all that such is that, well, obviously you come across into a twin brother, which is of course double Luigi's. But it seems somehow anyway though, for this game specifically though, there aren't any of those twin Luigi's this time, because, well, I can assure to you, because of how the fact that they don't force you to able to go for the second playthrough of the entire game again. But either way though, I really don't mind about it too much, because now you can able to switch between Mario or Luigi at any time, at any point. So even then though, I really don't mind about that. Which can be same applies on, well, for Super Mario 3D Land in that case. Well, despite the fact that you have to replay stages like, you know, 2 times and all that such. And same applies for Super Mario 3D World, because he's already unlocked from the get-go. Well, compared to Rosalina from the likes of 3D World, as it is. So there's some things I just want to point out right away. Well, despite the fact there's not much else to really say about this. Originally about the fact that when Mario did say this during the likes of in yesterday's Wii Sports Results golf video, originally there was supposed to be some sort of like a new Let's Play coming up at some point and during the likes of it today. But unfortunately though, it will be delayed until about a month, because even then though, because when Piccolo managed to able to decide to do his new Let's Play for our channel, and he suddenly discovered that he did realize he forgot to save the game. So even then though, as a result though, he did manage to get the recording session just fine enough as it is. But unfortunately for him though, he needs to redo the entire process all over again. So even then though, that's a little bit of a, you know, bad coincidence for this point anyway though. So even then I was wanting to point things out. So after when you find every single of those green stars in one of those galaxies, as you can tell, the Sky Station Galaxy is fully completed. So this means we got ourselves our glorious gold crown. So this means what that represents is that you're basically completely done with 100% for each galaxy. So even then though, this means about the fact that you weren't able to actually see those galaxies for the final time for this Let's Play. So even then I was one of pointing out for this point. So now let's move on to Yoshi's Star Galaxy, which, the first 2 green stars are actually not that far from here though. So it's just a matter of able to actually using Yoshi for this entire time. Including the third and final one, which should be at the very end of the actual, the mission itself. So even then though, some missions usually contains, like, specifically some of those green stars were able to lead you to some familiar missions. For example, in the forms of Green Star 1 and 2, it usually takes place in the first mission in the whole entire game, which is Pee-wee Piranha and a Tantrum or something. So even then though, and as for Green Star number 3, usually takes place in the second mission on Sky Station Galaxy, which is storming the Sky Fleet. And as far as the rest of the green stars, and specifically in Yoshi's Star Galaxy, it actually mainly focuses on settle up with Yoshi missions. So even then though, because I'm quite surprised about the fact that they don't seem to able to focusing on spiny control as much compared to the forms of how it does it in the majority of some of these missions for the time. Whilst in the forms of some of these mini stages missions is the fact that, well, specifically when we get into Flip Swap Galaxy or Right Side Down Galaxy, and especially noticeable with well, Wild Glide Galaxy, and as well as Honey Bloom Galaxy and Beat Block Galaxy, and as well as I would say by the forms of Rally Masterpiece Galaxy as well. These just normally those two green stars will normally take place in one specific mission alone. So yeah, it's one pointing out. So even then though, again, not much else to really say about these green stars, honestly, because even then though that although I will admit though right away though is the fact that you will be seeing plenty of deaths on that specific run-through with these green stars sometimes, because if you couldn't tell, I accidentally managed to come across into my first death on during the green stars department, because, well, sometimes though the green stars can be tricky to obtain, most notably because you need to be exactly dead on with the timing jumps, or especially noticeable with the actual some strategies you need to able to actually perform very well. And most of the time though, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error sometimes, especially noticeable when we get to later on. This means until whenever we get to the point until World 3, or essentially World 4 and onwards. Mainly with World Death, I always having a hard time with green stars hunting for that time. So it could be, yeah, because of this though, it will take me a lot of tries if I'm able to actually successfully do all this kinds of stuff. So even then though, that's as far as I can say about it here. So even then though, of course we're going to speed things up a little notch, because after all, we are basically done with every single part of these star bits usage now, because even then though, yeah, because we don't have to worry about grabbing these star bits anymore, because, you know, we basically unlocked every single of those galaxies at this point right now. So even then though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. In fact, kind of thinking about it though, is the fact that what if the first time I've actually experienced this game back in 2010, for the love of God, I'd never experienced the forms of the green stars to begin with, but luckily in 2013 and onwards, I managed to finally got to experience the green stars hunting at long last, especially because, well, back then, that Stuart might actually decide to able to, I just managed to ask Stuart, or in this case CapKing74, for able to actually borrow the game, but it didn't last for a very long time. So even then though, as far as I'm aware though, I don't mind about it too much though, apart from the fact that it was his game to begin with, but until when it gets to the point until October 2013, I've now finally got to experience this game properly now. So even then though, there's no need to able to actually worry about this kind of stuff. So even then though, now let's move on to green star number 3, where, as I said before, it's going to be nearly at the very end of that specific mission. So even then though, we'll able to actually come across into that specific point right there. So, another thing I just want to point things out right away is the fact that, after all, that this today was the forms of September, of course. So, we're most likely excited about some other things that's about to join out at some point or another. Like, for instance, we've only got about 2 more days to go until Spyro United Trilogy coming onto the Nintendo Switch. And, the only questionable thing about that though is the fact that you know how the fact that with the same applies for the PC Steam version, and as well as you know, the PS4, as well as the forms of the PlayStation 4, sorry. And also same applies with the Xbox One versions of Spyro United Trilogy, is the fact that it requires a internet download so that you can get a full experience of that specific trilogy, if you couldn't tell. Seems somehow it's managed able to took up about 10 gigabytes on the Switch version, apparently, because, well, although luckily though, I did got myself my microSD card, luckily though. And speaking of microSD cards, potentially, I've noticed about the fact that, Stuart might actually get himself another microSD card, but this time around though, it's more accurately the 128 gigabytes of that specific microSD card. I'm not exactly sure why he's gonna able to obtain that, but, he might actually recommend you able to save that up whenever when Nintendo announce the upgraded version of the Nintendo Switch to begin with, to be honest here. But even then, that's as far as you can able to actually just try to warn for ourselves for this point. So even then, that pretty much takes care of the forms of Yoshi's Star Galaxy. So now let's move on to Spin Dead Galaxy. So even then, yeah, I'm just going to mainly focusing on the bigger galaxies first, and then the shorter ones until later on though, and especially noticeable for the Bowser stage, or the Bowser Jr. stage, for last. So even then though, because I'm always able to actually go for that specific order amount of them, so anyways though. And speaking of Cap King 74, actually, is the fact that while he did most able to did done the first half of Super Mario Galaxy 2 Let's Play so far, where is the Green Stars run through of that specific point? Because obviously I'm doing it right about now, but honestly, because of how the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure it's because of how the fact that he hasn't done any of those recording sessions for quite some time for Cap King 74, because, well, at this point in time, it's the fact that since we're still in a new environment and all as such, this means he might actually get ourselves a little bit of a struggle to able to actually find the actual new methods of recording. So, although luckily for him though, it's the fact that he, since after all he got himself the actual HDMI converter for the actual Nintendo Wii console at this point right now. So this means he can able to actually just to deal with the Green Stars hunting at this point right now. Well, at least for the most part though anyway though, but either way though, we'll find things out at some point in the future though, mainly until next year though, whenever when this game will be about to become a decade old, specifically in 2020, specifically onto the 23rd of May in America, or even the 11th of June in our UK countries, so yeah, I might be biased, but even then, now let's move on to Green Star number 2. The first 2 Green Stars on that specific galaxy is going to takes place in, you know, Digger Legs planet. So even then, I was one of pointing out for this specific point. But until Green Star number 3 is going to take place on the second mission, which you have to find these silver stars. So, well, I'll show more details onto that, though, whenever we, well, specifically how you able to actually get them. So, either way, though. But then again, not much else to really say about this, I'm afraid, for this point, guys. Up until we get to the point until, I would say in the middle portion of September, though, that we might actually get something into things. But most of the time, though, about the fact that we might actually come across into some of this stuff. In fact, kind of thinking about it, though, is the fact that, I'm very excited about the forms of the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, at the moment right now. Because, much like the Rio 2016 Olympic Games back on the 3DS and the Wii U, I believe it might actually get ourselves the returning of those, returning playable characters ever since in Rio 2016 Olympic Games, as far as, I would say guest characters, because some people seem to get pretty upset about the fact that what makes it a little bit disappointing with, you know, the Rio 2016 installment is the fact that you can't able to actually play the new playable characters in each event. But even then, that's as far as I can say about it. But even then, though, that as far as the actual new cast of characters they're actually going to be including in the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games this time around, though, well, obviously we get ourselves the returning ones. Like, for instance, we get ourselves Jet the Hawk, as well as I would say by the forms of I don't know, actually. It's been such a long while since I actually managed to research on that specific stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got Jet the Hawk, and as well as, Eggman Nego, of all things, because he's, previously becomes playable on the 3DS version of Rio 2016 Olympic Games. And, also there was, where do I able to actually just get this thing started? Oh, yeah, there was one in, Rouge the Bat, she'll make its debut again, as well as SVO the Comedian, and even the forms of the Zeddies, in this case the Deadly Six, in this case Zaz, and as well as Zavok, and I think that's as far as we will go with the Sonic characters as becoming the playable character, because I think this is probably due to how the fact that Sega actually leaked out the actual imagery of those specific flag emblems and all that such. Because of this, though, I might be very curious to see how this will turn out to be, especially when, eventually when, the Tokyo Game Show is about to be hosting it during later on this month. So even then, though, yeah. Aside from everything else, though, and as you can see from the actual star count, if you couldn't tell, we actually got ourselves 128 of those power stars, not to be confused as that little tech demo from the likes of the, specifically for the tech demo from the likes of Super Mario 128, Nintendo GameCube Space World event or something. And as well as from that, though, for that one of those events in, you know, event matches from Super Smash Bros. Melee. So even then, that was a pretty cool, nice little reference for that number, so So there we go, folks. That takes care of Spin Deck Galaxy. And by the way, with that the third and final green star I managed to obtain, I highly recommend you able to take a hit until you're able to get rid of your spin drill. Because if you manage to somehow don't, and if you accidentally manage to drill from the ground, well, you're probably able to miss out on that specific green star. It's one pointing out right away. So, anyways, though, so now let's move on to the next galaxy of all things, Fliffy Bluff Galaxy. In this case, the most epicness when it comes to the actual music is about to be playing at any point. So, either way, though, let's get back into the forms of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games for a little moment there. The fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that, as far as Mario characters, as far as I'm concerned, we actually got ourselves only one new playable character introduced in the Mario & Sonic at the Olympic Games series for the very first time, actually, though. But we'll explain more on that later, because at this point we're getting ourselves, well, Windy-O Koopa, as well as, you know, Lummy Koopa makes its return ever since during the likes of in Rio 2016 Olympic Games on the Wii U, and also Ludwig who are about to make its debut once again, just like it informs of how it does it on the 3DS version of Rio 2016 Olympic Games, so at least I'm happy about that, as well as Diddy Kong of all things as well, Rosalina, and finally the new playable character will make its debut, I was expecting so, now will have to be by the forms of Toadette. Jeez. I felt kind of surprised about the fact that Toadette was going to be in the actual Olympic Games for the first time, because even then though, because compared to the 5 installments so far, specifically in Beijing 2008, and even Vancouver 2010, and heck, even with the forms of London 2012, Sochi 2014, Rio 2016, that Toadette isn't exactly appeared yet up until right now. Well, somehow it's managed to make it leak, apparently, though. But even then, we'll find out whenever we get to the point until either the Nintendo Direct, or even the Tokyo Game Show, which should be hosting until when it gets to the point until the 12th of September, specifically on Thursday, and then it finishes up until it gets to the point until the 15th of September. So, but even then, I'm really looking forward to able to see how this will turn out to be, especially because of how the fact that, well, some of these new stuff is about to be able to showcase with. So, even then, I'm super excited about that. So, even then, though, let's go ahead and grab this, second green star, which should be onto that specific cliff side, and in order to actually get to it, though, is the fact that you need to use the cloud, you know, flower power-up, which, you know, it's pretty swell if you ask me, though, but there's actually that little giant shortcut you can able to actually achieve from, and I'll show you that whenever we get to green star number 3, in this case the final green star on that specific stage, so even then, though, that you should guarantee by that part. So, aside from everything else, though, there's actually this match able to actually point things out with, PAX West that has already happened during the likes of a few days ago. They did manage to able to showcase off some more gameplay footage of, well, specifically Luigi's Mansion 3, which did manage to able to show off the exactly same stuff as the forms of how it does it on Gamescom 2019, like the new, gardening, kind of room like that, which, you know, we're not going to explain about some specific spoilers for the time being, because even then we're most likely have to focusing on, well, this game as it is. So, and speaking of which, actually, is the fact that, speaking of focusing on that specific game, let's get into the forms of that giant shortcut I was going to talk about. Well, you know how the fact that you know you can able to actually get to this specific point right near to where the secret power star is? Well, long jump towards for this point here and save these two cloud platforms, as you can see. And then if you manage to make that long, ridiculously long distance for that long jump, then boom, there you go. You actually get yourselves a nice little shortcut on that specific level. So, although somehow if you're first time playing this game, though, especially noticeable if you're trying to do a speedrun tactics like I just do right there, you will be missing out on that specifically for that common medal to begin with. So, yeah, definitely not recommend that if you really want to go after, like, you know, every single of those common medals if you couldn't tell. So even then I just want to point things out. But either way though, that's as far as I can say about it. So, I know it is right here. There's the third and the final green star on that specific stage. And, well, there we go. I think that pretty much takes care of the forms of, well, Fliffy Bluff Galaxy. So, Aside from everything else though, with the reason why about the fact that the actual new Let's Play will be delayed until about a month later is because, well, for the most part though, as we said this before loads of times, we most likely have to focusing on some of these Let's Plays we need to currently finishing up with and doing at some point until when, wow, I can't even believe we only got about like 4 more months to go until when, you know, 2020 will be slowly approaching, which, either way though, I'm really looking forward to what 2020 has to offer, aside from, you know, the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which are about to do that specific points around the same Let's Play as Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, around the same day as when, you know, the opening ceremony starts for that specific year. But anyways, now we're gonna get into the real treatment here for specifically those 2 green stars. So even though that again is good, usually takes place in some sort of a shorter stages. So for the most part though, they are kind of tricky to obtain though, but if you manage to get the hang of it though, well, usually it's not too difficult or anything like that to me though, because the first one is very simple though. Oh wow, that was really close. That this is always a recommendation, you know, super recommendable if you really want to go for this green star right there. And the fact of the matter is though, I highly recommend you able to use Luigi because, you know, with the ridiculously high jump, even with that triple jump you can able to reach, this makes it I really can't speak today for this point, folks. I do apologize for that. Because, if you couldn't tell already, it's the fact that my throat is once again dried up. Well, I'm hoping I can able to get some of my drink later on, though, specifically when I'm done with this specific recording session. So it's one pointing out. So, now let's go back in here for the final time. So we're not gonna able to actually see this little, flip panel segment again up until like you'll see these again and during at some point in Super Mario 3D Land, and especially noticeable in Super Mario 3D World. But except the fact that the only major difference is that you can able to jump instead of like shaking the actual Wii remote or anything like that. So yeah, clearly obvious difference at that point. So even though that, oh wow, we actually got ourselves 133 of those power stars at this point. So it's pretty cool though, especially because that, oh, why did I just do that? I knew it! I knew it! Oh, god dang it. Screw you, Goomba. Screw you for able to actually give me a knockback or anything like that. And yeah, I just died, as you can see right there, because I probably should able to keep that in the video, but, you know, it really sucks. No, I have no idea why it just happened right there, but either way, though, let's just get into the actual main point about this for the actual Green Stars hunting, as far as I'm concerned about the specific stuff in mind, but even then, oh yeah. So, aside from everything else, though, is the fact that, well, for the most part, though, yeah, with the actual recording sessions for this specific week, well, usually it's uploading during today on the Sunday at the moment, because, you know, with Super Mario Party Let's Play has already been finished, and during at some point in about a month ago at this point now. And, aside from that, though, oh god, I'm not exactly ready for that yet, but I'm actually ready for this point right now, so even though triple jump awaits. And there we go, we got ourselves the, well, the second and the final green star on Flip Swap Galaxy. So, only 2 galaxies to go until we're able to conclude World 1. So, as far as the actual captions, whenever you're trying to get into the file selection screen, there's one particular stuff I forgot to mention about this specific stuff, is that it depends on what world you're in, on that progression of the world you're in right now. Sometimes you get some sort of a different title caption if the actual chapters, as you probably can tell. That, obviously we're actually on Silver Crown icon right now for our file selection screen right now, and it does manage to say the Green Star Challenge is on. So even then, aside from everything else though, like, for instance, if you manage to unlock World S, if you manage to able to beat Bowser for the first time, it does manage to say, here we go. And, aside from every single world, I'll explain more on that whenever we get to the next video, especially noticeable until on Tuesday, because, well, aside from Monday, though, I'm actually going to be able to actually just let Sonic able to actually get back into, well, Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, so that he can able to actually deal with, personally, one of the worst worlds in the game, though, but even then, I'm sure he's able to actually cope with it, despite he hates, you know, he hates water so much. But even then, though, because aside from that, though, yeah, there's not much else to really say about it here. So, anywho, so let's now move on to, you know, right side down Galaxy for what else? Getting some more of those green stars, as you can probably tell from this point. So, another thing is worth pointing out right away, though, is the fact that, when it comes to everything else, though, aside from those, specific son of a biscuit! Why does Goombas always hate me? I mean, seriously, I have no idea. But anyways, let's hopefully try this again, and I'm hoping I could... Can you get in there? Thank you. Although I will admit though right away though, is that sometimes Luigi can be very tricky to control sometimes, because, well, most of the time he always just lids off all over the place, if you can... Probably can tell from this point, which I'm sure I've already mentioned about how Luigi plays out in this game though, because, you know, ever since during the likes of Cloudy Quartz Galaxy that we actually able to actually, like, play as him for the first time, and might be the only time we actually did manage to play as him on that specific game as of late. But even then, though, every now and then, especially noticeable with the actual Green Stars hunting at this point now, you know, this means we can now finally play as him at you know, at any time. So even then, though, yeah. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So anyway, so let's go and crush these little, you know, boxes, as you can see. And right off the bat, though, we actually be getting things started with the first green star, by the way, though. And this is where it gets to the point about the fact that some of these green stars can be very difficult to obtain. Because, as you can tell, the first green star is going to be right above the checkpoint. And in order to actually do this, though, is the fact that, you know what that shifting gravity thing right there? Well, we do need to able to be exactly dead on with the actual timing requirements, because sometimes if you manage to get slightly off to the angle, well, honestly, you would able to actually get a chance to able to missing that most of the time, because even then, though, definitely the first difficult green star in the game, though, because sometimes, though, it might take you a lot of practice, though, especially you have to be exactly on that correct angle if you're trying to able to long jump on that right time. But if you do something like that, then you would able to obtain that first green star in right side down Galaxy. So I remember back in the day, actually, though, for those of you who probably did not know, about the fact that back in 2016, mind you, that particular original Let's Play of the game was no longer there anymore, though, because, you know, the actual improvements of the quality is now majorly a thing. But I remember that one day, after when I managed to upload this particular part for Green Stars hunting for this game, and about a day before that, or in this case, about a few days later, I somehow managed to come across into a massive blue screen virus after I managed to upload my, first part of the Green Stars hunting, which I'm hoping that won't be the case this time around for this year, though, because... Oh man, I just had a dreadful time back then, because even then, though, I just cannot even believe I managed to come across into that blue screen of, death or some sort, because even then, though, it did happen about... back in during the likes of in 2013 as well, when we did manage to have ourselves our old laptop, and somehow we just managed to get ourselves, you know, the blue virus of death, or the blue screen of death, I should say. But even then, though, that it still works pretty well, though, especially noticeable with, you know, with our, you know, our current laptop at the moment. I think the only problem with our old laptop is the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure because of how the fact that we download too many stuff or something. But even then, that's probably just because of how the fact that I was really into certain things with that, so... But yeah, you probably get the idea for that. Oh, wow, that's actually a pretty cool shortcut, I'm gonna say for this part right there. So, anyway. I'm stuck. Oh, jeez. Okay, there we go. I wasn't given a chance to stop him! Oh wow, he did really kill me right there for about a foot distance from that point right there. So, okay, that's a bit stupid. Son of a biscuit! Hi. Okay, this is already getting ridiculous at this point, especially with some mistakes and all that such, because, well, then again, I'm pretty much used to with these speedrun tactics, as you can tell, but hopefully I can able to actually bypass this time. Thankfully, though, with the second green star, though, on this stage, though, it makes it a little bit easier to able to find it. Well, as long as you're able to keep your eyes peeled, especially because of how the fact that if you know exactly where it is. So, but even then, we'll get to that whenever we slowly approach to it, though. So even then, for the most part, though, we just have to dodge a lot of those hazards, including these enemies, like, you know, chain jumps, as well as the forms of those thwomps. And that's as far as I can usually say about it here. But anywho though, yeah, apart from that though, is the fact that, you know, with any other day schedules or as such, with the fact that we might actually, I'm actually going to be going back into this though, although originally I was going to be able to actually upload this at some point during the likes of I would say in, excuse me, that I would able to actually originally upload this during the 14th of September, but I decided able to push it forward a little bit to able to I can able to actually get these green stars finished and over with before we move on to the true finale experience by going for the actual, well, I'm not gonna mention about this too much until whenever we get to the 19th of October, specifically for the final episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, since I'm just gonna be extremely sad to able to actually not gonna see that show ever again. Well, I can still able to actually rewatch the show from time to time again, because obviously that's about the fact that until about, I would say for about next week or so, about the fact that Season 7 UK release date, or the actual DVD compilation for UK, might be actually be open during at some point in about 8 days left. So I didn't actually pre-order that, so even then, since I do really gonna be missing that show so much, so even then I can able to rewatch some of these episodes for time and time again, because I really enjoy the show so much, despite the actual controversial out there, so... Anyway, so that pretty much takes care of the forms of Right Side Down Galaxy, and now let's move on to the Bowser Jr. level, so... And once again, though, there are only about 2 green stars to find around here, so, but even then, let's go ahead and find them. So even then, I believe that in each world, except for World S, as far as I'm aware for that part, is that every single world actually contains like 18 green stars each. Because I say that is because, well, I did some of these the math calculations, and sure enough, they actually contains 18 green stars in total for each world. Well, except for World S, because I did some calculations on that before, and it does say about the fact that it will able to contain 12 green stars. So, not relatively speaking though, is the fact that we might actually get ourselves 18 green stars for this, specifically for this episode today, as well as the forms of later on though too, but even then we'll get to that at some point. So, oh wow, I almost died right there. Because yeah, if you can tell, I was gonna able to pull off some nice little shortcuts, specifically for this little Thwomp momentum right there. And then, right off the bat though, as you can see on the left, there's the first green star on this stage. Now I believe the second and the final one should be at the, almost near to the actual battle arena, which, we'll get to that then during at some point. So even then though, there's the, green star number 1 on this stage, and, excuse me about that. I will promise you guys that at some point on Tuesday, hopefully my voice should be a little bit more better, especially noticeably in World 2 case. So, there we go. We got 137 of those, you know, power stars so far, so we're actually getting pretty good at it. And now we'll go ahead and grab ourselves the final green star in World 1, and also the final green star on this specific stage. And, that pretty much takes care of that. So even then, and I believe we're able to reach up for about 138 power stars for the time. So even then, we'll get this thing to it. And as far as the later green stars, as far as I'm aware though, when it gets like ridiculously challenging and difficult, hopefully we'll get the insane amount of extra lives as soon as we can. Because even then, then again, if you mess up at least quite a few times on that specific part, well, sometimes it gives you a lot of trial and error situations sometimes. But either way though, we'll get to those in a later time. But even then, for now on though, let's go ahead and mainly focusing on, you know, the final green star on this stage. So even then, once again, we'll do this nice little backflip trick, and hopefully make our way for this planet over there. And if you come towards that specifically onto, let's grab that life mushroom first. And then just ignore that launch star and long jump all the way from over there, and you get yourselves a glorious green star, no problem. So, but it does take you, again, a lot of advantages for Luigi's movesets. Because of that though, you should still recommend you're able to use him for the majority of the green stars in the game. So even then though, I think that takes care of every single stages in the forms of in World 1 for green stars. So even then though, and as soon as we're done with that, World 1 gets itself the actual gold crown. So yeah, I guess I'll end things off here. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Galaxy 2. Is that we are moving on to World 2 when it comes to green stars hunting. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.